welcome to Lights Camera Texas. I'm Billionna Reyes, and today's guest is Sweet Van Lowe, who is also the SAC Theatre and Creative Action teaching artist. What is the SAC Theatre?
The SAC Theatre is one of the biggest theaters in Austin, and you probably can see it from any part of the skyline. If you go on one of the highways and it's nighttime, it lights up very beautifully. It has a lot of different productions, and it's also a theater complex. So there's not just the main theater. There's also the Wizenhut, which is in the Rounds, Clayburgh Theater. It's different styles of theater all in one place.
What is Creative Action?
Creative Action is an arts-based social justice organization. So we teach through arts different social justice aspects, social emotional learning skills for children. We do interactive performances that are anti-bullying or anti-racism and that sort of thing.
What classes do you teach at the SAC Theatre?
At SAC, I teach intro to acting, script writing, musical theater, intro to film acting. Basically, if it has to do with acting in any sense, I'm usually on the roster.
What do you do as a teacher at Creative Action?
At Creative Action, we teach all sorts of different things, from recycling to fairness and being more of an ally towards marginalized communities. And we do that also through the arts, teaching painting, muraling, acting, writing, poetry, and the like.
Is there an age limit to go to any of the classes, or it just depends?
Oh, at SAC Theatre, I don't think there is an age limit. We have classes for 3.5-year-olds all the way through to master classes and workshops for adults.
Okay.
So it really depends on who you want to enroll and what you want to learn.
Okay, and then how about for Creative Action? Is there an age limit?
Creative Action works mainly through schools. However, they recently have started a different program that is for the elderly population.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I know, it's really cool. So we get to teach different age groups altogether. And as for adults, especially if you're working for them, you get to go into all these different trainings for social emotional learning, classroom management, different skills, and everything like that.
Okay. When did you start teaching at the SAC?
I started teaching about 2 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And I just love it. So it didn't feel like it, and then I had to think about it and do the math.
How is it being a SAC teacher? I mean, that's pretty crazy. Austin's known for its very creative and artsy, and you're one of the people who get to teach it. How do you feel about that?
It's really fun. I mean, I interned with them, and then I became a teaching artist with them, and I've had a blast ever since. It's a great community. You get to know all the other teaching artists. There are a lot of times when we run into each other just in the city, and we're just like, my people, oh my gosh, and we just get very excited. And we talk about different styles. We learn from each other. We train each other. It's fantastic.
How often do you teach classes?
I teach classes every day except for Sunday.
And is that for both SAC and Creative Action?
Yes.
What's your schedule like for SAC?
My schedule for SAC is usually dependent on the semester.
Okay.
Some semesters I'm teaching weeknights as well as weekends, and some semesters not so much. It really depends on what's needed. There's 2 campuses, so sometimes we're at SAC Main, sometimes we're at SAC North. There are always going to be a plethora of classes.
Okay, and then how about your schedule for Creative Action? Is it just after school, or do you sometimes pop in during school? Do they have that?
Well, I'm a teaching artist with Creative Action, but I'm also in their interactive performance program as well. So sometimes we have a show that's going on during the school day, and I'll be going from that into going to my campus and seeing my kids for that specific class. So sometimes I'm there all day long.
How often do you do shows at the SAC Theatre?
There are a lot of shows at SAC, so I don't think there is a week where we don't have a show going on in one of the theaters on the complex. We could always check the lineup on the website, but almost every week there is a different show going on in at least one of the theaters, usually 2, happening all throughout the year.
Are students required to act in the classes you take, or can they kind of like sit down if they're not having like a good day? Like, how does that work?
Oh no, they're not required to act.
Okay.
Unless it's an intro to acting class, it's strongly recommended. Like, hey, come on and try to join us. But if you're having a hard day, if you're tired, if you're hungry, if you've just had a long week, we're not going to force anything upon them. It's to be fun and to really introduce them to a fun experience and how theater can work and how it can be enjoyable. We never want it to be difficult or strenuous for them, so there's definitely an emphasis on self-care.
Okay. Does SAC offer scholarships?
Yes. If you go to zachtheatre.org, you're able to find a lot of scholarship plans. If you can't find them, you can always email them, and any department head will be able to reach out to you to discuss different scholarship opportunities for kids. The goal for ZAC is that we want everyone to be able to access this sort of training and this sort of experience, so we try to make it as accessible as possible.
How about creative action? Do they have scholarships for like after they get out of high school or whatever schooling they're doing?
Creative Action has several different programs,
Okay.
some of which I'm not even a part of. There's Color Squad, which is a teen film group
Okay.
that Marcelo Tessin heads up, and those kids create their own films. They have their own style. They have their own culture within creative action. It's so great, yeah. And they
free
create the
creative
most
outlet.
beautiful things. Yeah, and their movies are like professional-looking movies. Like I'm going, I need to be in this class. Like, can I act like a teenager, and maybe you'll admit me into this group. But each group is different. But Creative Action similarly also has scholarships, where if you go to creativeaction.org, you'll be able to look up and see what different scholarships are available. And if you can't find it, you can always reach out to their department heads, find out what we have for this semester and how we can help out.
You record footage of actors while you're in class.
Sometimes, it depends. For example, my intro to film acting class, we record it all the time because it's film acting. Sometimes with theater acting classes, we record the kids on stage so they can see themselves after the fact and know what that movement looks like and kind of learn from it and grow from it and become better actors or better designers or whatever it is they're learning. So some teachers record more than others. Since I do both theater and film, I record way more than a lot of teachers. And some teachers don't record that much at all.
Who is Zachary Scott?
Zachary Scott is an actor. He was one of the Austin-based native actors that became very famous. He was known to be like a villain or a mystery man behind the curtain. And because of his fame, everybody from Austin was just so excited, you know, because we have our own person, our own actor from right here from Austin. And that's why they renamed the ZAC Theater the Zachary Scott Theater, because it was originally the Austin Civic Theater back in 1932.
And what other departments does Zach have besides classes or your department?
The educational department is, of course, what I know most about because that's where I work under. However, the production department is probably what people in Austin know the most. It's the department that handles all of the stage work and all of the productions that happen on the stages. They're the reason why the Christmas Carol happens every single year at the ZAC. Yeah, it's amazing. But they have that department. There is another department that handles things like foundational giving. There's a reason that we have scholarships, and because of people in Austin giving to the ZAC Foundations helps us to be able to give that gift to other people and allow people to come in with scholarships instead of having to deal with hardships.
What is your typical day as a teacher?
We usually come in just a little bit before class starts. Most teachers put on an agenda or just kind of bullet points of what we're going to do in the class for today. We go over it with the kids. We tell them what we're going to do. We work all of that out. We come up with community guidelines, which are kind of the rules, if you will, of the classroom, remind them of it, and then we just get started. We get into it.
What other curriculums does Zach have besides the education department?
Well, there's a lot of there's an entire dance department. There are professional dancers that have worked with many different pop artists, even, or ballet. There's vocal training. There's, of course, the acting training, which I'm more a part of. There's designing, theater design. Basically, if there's a job in theater, there's going to be a class for it.
Thanks so much for watching.
Yeah, and if you need any more information about the ZAC Theater, you can always go to zachtheatre.org. Or if you have any questions about creative action, you can check out creativeaction.org. Thanks, guys.
Bye.